Welcome to Big Ideas at Microscale. I am Hemdeep, your host. Unfortunately, today we don't have my co-host Robin. She's on her way or in the process of setting up her new life in Alberta, but I'm sure she'll be jumping on during our next episode. I'm actually very keen about this next topic and this next group of people because we've conversed with researchers at schools, at universities. We've done some conversations with those that are in the microfluidic field in terms of 3D printing. This is the first opportunity I get to talk to with a team based out of a pharmaceutical. We're talking to Tong and Drew Wollman and John Shanley from AbbVie, and they are part of the group that's called SPaRCS. And welcome, you guys. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having us.
Good. So before we begin, why don't we jump in, and I guess I can have you introduce yourself. Why don't we start with Andrew? I think you're the leader of this group here. So why don't you take the lead and charge us through?
Okay. My name is Drew. I have a PhD in mechanical engineering, and I have been at AbbVie for 5 years. I am a member of a multidisciplinary group in AbbVie that is internal, curiosity-driven research group that services our clients in drug discovery in AbbVie at the early stages of drug discovery.
Anne, how about you?
Yes, my name is Tong and I have a PhD in chemical engineering. I have been working at AbbVie for 2 years and I'm having an amazing time with Drew, John, and other member in the group.
Amazing. John, how about you now?
Yeah, hi. I'm John Shanley. I have a master's in mechanical engineering from the University of Illinois. I've been in the group here for about 5 years, kind of switching around between traditional mechanical engineering, more towards robotics and software lately. Yeah, of course, 3D printing.
Great. So I think Drew touched on this briefly, and I think that would be possibly the best place to dive in. And it's this group that you're part of called SPaRCS. And I did a bit of dive into SPaRCS and the mission statement. It is very interesting. If you sort of give us what the acronym SPaRCS stands for and what the focus of that group is, Drew.
No. John can do that.
Oh, John will do that. Oh, perfect. I love it. John, how about you do that?
Specialized research in chaotic systems. That's SPaRCS. It came from our leader, Jeff Pan, who was told by his manager years ago that we needed a creative name for our group, and whatever it was going to be called, it had to have the word chaos somewhere involved. Organized chaos is kind of one way to look at it. We make robotic systems, automation systems, software, hardware, processes, all of the above, and kind of beyond that for drug discovery research, things that give other scientists, biologists, chemists here within the company a competitive advantage.
So if I was to put it out to the three of you, when you first joined SPaRCS or you were brought into SPaRCS, what part of that group network really inspired, or at least what was the connecting point that you found very valuable to you?
So I think for me, when Jeff first reached out to me to hire me, he described an environment in which you will always have something new to work on. You will never be bored. Every project is new. Every challenge is great. And there's lots of room for improvement wherever we look. And I think that Jeff's knowledge and excitement of the industry really got me excited about the group, and that's why I joined.
Yeah. How about you, Anne?
Yes, for me, it's like when I talk to Jeff, he inspired me about the opportunity to grow in the group. And when I come to the group for the interview, I experienced that many, like each of the team member, the group member, they have different background. And when we talk about it, I feel I can learn a lot from them. It's like I am specialized in microfabrication for microfluidic device. And in the group, we have Dave Cheng Yen. He also specialized on that, and he has more experience than me. So I feel I can learn from them, and on top of that, I can learn from Drew, John. I feel, oh, it's a non-ending journey for me to learn and grow and be in the field of pharmaceutical, which is the field that I really want to work with and be like helpful and like devoting my specialties for the field.
Oh, and you, John, how did you sort of be inspired, or at least I find it's starting to sound like as if your first connection with this team really there was a connecting point between what you've experienced before and what you're currently experiencing right now, and it was a continuity of your, I guess, a mindset that you had.
Yes.
Yes, so the continuity and the common factor I think that you're hearing here is curiosity driven research. Nobody here,
Yeah.
I think, would really be too satisfied in iterating on what's already been done as much as they would be exploring what's to come. For me, that was the idea that kind of sold me on the group, that notion that, hey, yeah, you could just optimize this a little bit more and a little bit more, but if we look at this from an interdisciplinary perspective and we say, hey, you've got an electrical guy over here, a mechanical guy over there, a software person, a biologist, and now we're going to throw this weird problem at you that none of you really understand more than like 10-15% of, what can you come up with? Where does that take you? It was the freedom to kind of imagine where you could go and how you could integrate and learn along the way. That I think that's what got me excited anyway.
So, if you take the name, I guess the word SPaRCS, you said that the word chaos had to be in there. So, how does that even work? When you look at biological innovations, like how are you supposed to find chaos in systems that are fairly not rigid, but they're prescribed systems that have a well-known functionality, and then you try to, where does the chaos start in this case?
Drug discovery is complicated, and there's lots of work that needs to be done, and there's no clear path on how to do it. There are rules of thumb. There are things that have worked in the past, but there's plenty of room, and there's more room to innovate there than almost anywhere. And I think the chaos comes in as in we have a bench scientist that has a problem or would like to do something faster and better. There's lots of different ways that that could happen. And so we are encouraged to pursue multiple solutions in parallel to help solve that problem. And that, from an outside perspective, if you're in like a traditional engineering company, that looks like chaos.
And so, would it be correct to say that within your system, you have a series of verticals, multiple projects going at the same time, all of them attacked in parallel I can envision that being chaotic if someone was to see it from the outside.
And all of our solutions from one project can feed into other projects. So the things that John is learning about 3D printing in his project, I use in my project because John shares that information. And then that goes to Anne. And then Anne has a problem and she knows that, or we talk about it, and turns out 3D printing is that solution for her problem. Let's explore that. And then she'll get a little bit farther along, and then she can enhance her microfabrication skills with the 3D printing.
So I'm glad that you touched on skills. Can you briefly, well, maybe not briefly, really draw it out as to exactly the skill set that you bring to the team, and then what have been the learnings that you've had over the last, in your case, Anne, 2 years, and Drew and John, the last 5 years? Like, what is the additional skill set that you built on previous to you attending or being brought on board in this team setting?
Before I joined AbbVie, I'm specialized in microfabrication of microfluidics device using photolithography. So most of the time I use the mask and I use the photoresist so that I can expose the light through the mask and cross-link the patterns and transfer the pattern on the mask to my substrate. And that's the only way that I have been using to create microfluidics channel, tiny microfluidic channels in my device. And after joining AbbVie, I starting to learn how to do 3D designing, modeling, and then also picking up 3D printing, how to apply 3D printing to make microfluidic device for my daily use. It's the advantages of 3D printing is it's fast turnaround time. So for example, regular microfabrication technique that I used, it take me a week to finish. And each iteration, it take another week and another week. So for 3D printing, I can just quickly draw up a 3D model, put it in the printer and print, and then the next day I have something to investigate and make change. And I also learned from other team members to become a little bit of mechanical engineer, a little bit of how to put the wire together and without execute myself. So and and I've learned so many things. I learned to become better at optic designing the microscopy from another team member, and I have learned a lot from all other team member in the group every day, every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about you, John?
I liked those answers a lot, and I forgot the original question.
Oh, the original question. In terms of the skill set,
Sorry.
I'm still reminded of Drew's conversation at the start before we started recording about his children just looking at him,
Yep.
just jaw
Yep.
drop that he could not, that he blew his back out. That was, it's still sort of repeat in my mind. So the original question was, in terms of the skill set you had before you joined this team, how have you found that joining this team has broadened your capabilities in everything that you try to do?
Yeah, so that was going back to why I came here, that was the thing that really kind of got me interested. So before here, I spent a couple of years as a mechanical engineer designing for a consulting firm of sorts, and I'd carry a few projects at a time, and I would do just the mechanical design and prototyping and hand it off, and that was that. When I was contacted here, the position was primarily a software position. My experience with software was programming Arduinos and Raspberry Pis to do what I needed to do in grad school, not professional software development. I am not a programmer. And so I told them this in the interview process. And I was like, you guys realize you're trying to hire a programmer who doesn't know programming. And that didn't seem to faze anyone. So I thought that was strange. I'm interested. And yeah, they hired me to be a programmer of all things. And now I get to do both. So I learned C#. I didn't know C# before I started here, and I can now efficiently and effectively program robotic systems in that language and navigate additional interfaces beyond there, while maintaining the mechanical design work that I had kind of started with and what really got me interested in engineering in the first place. So as far as new skills go, I'd consider that a pretty good one to pick up.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. So you're saying that before you joined the team, you had no software skills at all, and
I mean, if you count undergrad MATLAB, then I had that.
yeah, no.
If you count looking at Stack Overflow for Raspberry Pi, how to do
Yeah.
blink and LED type stuff. I had that. Beyond that, nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Drew, before you even answer this question, I looked at your Google Scholar and the stuff that you were working on. I just sat there going, what on earth? So this one that really jumped out, puddle jumping, spontaneous ejection of large liquid droplets from hydrophobic surfaces during drop power tests. I looked at that. I was like, and he is in pharmaceutical. I need to know exactly what drew you to this team.
Okay. So my background is large length scale capillary fluidics, so managing propellant for orbiting spacecraft.
Yeah.
When there's no gravity, fluid behaves much like it does on Earth, but at a much smaller scale. So, of course, I'm a microfluidicist. And so in my job interview, I had to confess that I've never made a microchannel in my life. And they're like, yep, you're perfect. So the common thread in our group is that no one is really an expert in what they're working on. I have built a career out of fighting bubbles, and that is a handy skill to have, whether it's in spacecraft or in diagnostic equipment on Earth.
And so, in terms of the skills that you had leading up to this, how have you found, or at least broadly speaking, the new skills that you've developed while you've been on this team?
Oh, there's plenty of new skills. So microfluidics is a new skill.
Yeah.
But also like program management. There's some software development that I've had to try and wrap my mind around. Certainly electrical components and electrical selection. That's been my latest opportunity for improvement. So I'm familiarizing myself with all of the problems with electronics communicating with one another from various sources. There is never a moment where I'm not learning in the SPaRCS group, and I think that that's true for everyone.
Yes.
Amazing. And so if I was to sort of, would you be able to give me an example of a project that sort of brought all of this together in terms of in one cohesive? I know that we're going to be touching on some of the projects that you're working on right now, but have there been projects or that have been gone commercialized, or at least has sort of found its way to a point at some point? It may have failed, it may have succeeded, but there was a collaborative effort, and how many people would be collaborating on a specific project at that point?
So I would say, there might have been one project that was commercialized that came out of the SPaRCS group. But by and large, almost nothing is commercialized. We build sophisticated prototypes for our scientists. Everything is unfinished and can always be improved. But we get it to the scientists as quickly as possible to make it as useful as possible in the amount of time that we think is reasonable. And then they start working on it. And then as the scientists start using the instrument, they give us feedback and start giving us feature requests. And we're able to like turn those around. Every project is collaborative. Even if there's only one SPaRCS group member working on a project, they are working very closely with scientists, biologists, chemists in external groups. I have been working with Anne very closely on our project now. I also help other people with their projects. So if John is working on his project and he needs help, we help each other. So it's collaborative in the group, but also across the group within AbbVie. I guess, John, do you have like something to add about like how collaboration works? You work with, I guess, Marco, or you were working with Marco, so that's an
Mirko,
external.
yes. Uh, Mirko messaged me about 5 minutes before we hopped on this call and set up a meeting for later this afternoon. So that's an excellent guess out of seemingly nowhere. Stop checking my email. Yeah, so Mirko's a great example. He's a scientist over more towards the production side of things, but he's worked in a number of areas here. He's a chemist by training, and when he's got little needs like, hey, I need to test out this new process, or we've got a machine coming next year that is going to, for example, work on drying out a wetted powder of some sort. He's like, hey, I need to quickly, I'm not going to get this machine until next year, but I need some initial data to basically demonstrate that this is the right path to go on, to optimize our targets, to basically get ourselves a head start into doing the research that we ultimately need to do for, I'm not actually sure what he's working on. Can you help me do that? Because he knows he comes to us for the engineering side of things, and this is an extremely basic system that he's asking for. He's saying, okay, I've got this wet powder, I need it to be a dry powder, and I need to not damage it in the process. Can you help me do that? Sure, absolutely. That's the low, easy end of the type of project that we would work on. This is the sort of thing that, you know, might not be on my radar for more than a week or two at a time.
Okay.
But one of the cool things here, and trying to tie this back into collaboration somehow, one of the cool things here is that everybody in this group is carrying a couple of projects like that, a couple of projects that might be on the 1 year, multi-year length scale, and all in between.
No, it sounds like as if that these projects, though they may be various in length, the sole purpose of the project isn't for commercial applications. It's actually pretty much to identify processes or improve processes within the network within AbbVie itself. Period. And then if it turns into something commercial, fine. If it doesn't, that's great. There's no issue about that because it would have had an immediate, what do you call, application at the scientific level, whether it's a biologist, chemist, or any of them, their needs. And that actually is a very interesting way of setting up, departments where there is no overarching need to follow the bottom line, right? That there isn't we've got a commercial ventures that have to be out the door in 1 year, 5 year increments, so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things here is that we're pretty separated from the commercial aspect of things. We are almost kind of like our own little bubble in a lot of ways. Just framing it as a skunkworks team would be the way to put it, I suppose. There's no cutoff, no deadline, or anything like that that isn't at least partially influenced by our own leadership and decision making.
Nice. So then, so if we let's take the three of you and just now, when was when was year one of your collaboration, and then what does that look like in terms of, you now have a 3D printer. You guys are doing some interesting things. Why don't we start that journey with the three of you and your current collaboration?
We can start with John.
Yeah. John sort of just introduced our group to 3D printing. He brought in the first 3D printers. Anne and I have been collaborating on the CADWorks printer.
Okay.
Okay, so like overall, John's like he's 3D printing big picture.
Okay.
And Anne and I are 3D printing, but specific, like focused.
Okay. Oh, perfect. So yeah, if you guys can just tell me what that looks like in terms of, that first collaboration, and then what are the mandates between the three of you for this new or this project that you're currently working on, and we can sort of peel away the layers of that one as well.
I mean, perhaps it's helpful to start broad and go specific.
Yeah.
I actually brought in the second 3D printer that this group has had. The first one was brought in several years before I knew about SPaRCS or had ever heard of this company. And it was a pretty comprehensive failure from the stories that I have been told. It was a powder-based printer. I think it was an SLS style printer, and it made things out of cornstarch that were water soluble and was apparently a giant mess, an incredible pain. I honestly don't know who made the printer or what, or really anything more than I've shared so far, but it really soured the taste in everyone in this group's mouth for the concept of 3D printing, because the mechanical engineers who were here and comprised the group at the time were all from backgrounds that were heavily reliant on machining practices, your traditional CNC based tooling. I guess just tooling in general and CNC later. But when I mentioned 3D printing, because that was something that I've had at every stop along the way, internships in school and grad school and my previous job, every time there was always a 3D printer in the room or in the lab next door that I could just kind of walk over to, click play, and get my little prototype. It's my three-dimensional scratch paper of sorts. And I wanted that here. So I asked for it, and they told me all these horrible stories, and I said, all right, let's just try it anyway. So I bought a relatively cheap fused filament fabrication printer, and over the span of a year, talked them into using it. There were more resistance from some parties than others, but yeah, eventually that turned into, hey, there's enough people using this that we're forming a decent queue. Let's get another one. And that turned into, well, what else can we do with these things? And so we ventured on over and got an SLA machine, and then a bigger SLA machine, and then it kind of expanded from there to the point where I think we've got 8-9 machines now, of different manufacturers, different capabilities. For the most part, they're SLA and FFF. But yeah, that's kind of how this all started and evolved over the first few years here of just transitioning the group into 3D printing. And at that point, well, kind of later on, once it had become established, we started getting some of the machines that could do the finer details, which is a lot of what Drew and Ann have been working on together. I'll let you guys kind of talk more about that, I suppose.
Yeah, I'll also just add to John's comment. Time is really the only resource that we value. And if we can iterate on something 3 times in 1 week, that is priceless. And so, whatever the cost of the printer is, the printers paid for themselves immediately.
Yeah.
So, can the printer solve all of our problems? No, of course not. But if there's use cases for the printers that the printers solve immediately, and then we can learn faster. Like Anne said, she has a prototype the next morning that she can use, and that she's now getting data from. And in John's case, John needs a whole bunch of different brackets, say, like, but they're all custom brackets, and they're all holding on to things in different ways. John can make those brackets way faster and way cheaper on a printer than it would take a machine shop to build them. So there's the time aspect is also really critical for us.
And how about you, And you, I think, have possibly the most tangent tangent application of what it was old school compared to new school. How was your now that you have a printer, obviously your workflow has changed, but in terms of development now, what did you also find became valuable? What values did you find in that?
Yes, for me, the quick turnaround time is the most valuable point for me. And before, I also did have a strong resistance to use 3D printing to make microfluidics device. I tried before when I was in the grad school, and the technology at that time was not up to date yet. So it's hard to make small channels, and it took Drew a little bit of the time to convince me that, oh, the new printer that we get at our group is gonna be able to do what we need. And then I work closely with Drew, and then I figure out, oh, it's actually good enough for our prototyping purpose. And I'm enjoying using 3D printing so far.
I gotta add to that too. So Anne is very humble. So it's not like 3D printing is replacing these traditional microfabrication techniques. It's enhancing them.
Yeah.
So Anne is actually combining microfabrication techniques and 3D printing techniques and combining them in single devices that previously have never been made. So I can't talk about that. Dang it. But the conversation should never be like, oh, 3D printing has replaced microfab. 3D printing has replaced traditional machining. Absolutely not. We use it to enhance each technique. So we've combined microfabrication and 3D printing. We've combined machining and 3D printing to make it better than the sum of their parts. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and I think the stories the three of you have are the ones that we always hear, where iteration cycles have increased. They've been able to leverage 3D printing with the existing microfabrication techniques, and that the first uptake for 3D printing is usually a story of a platform that did not work, didn't deliver something that they had wanted, and therefore they were soured. And then it required this another, almost a big leap of faith to sort of say, okay, I think I'll try it again. And then you start seeing the wheels of idea make it just evolves very, very quickly. Once you've got that wheel going, it really has a momentum of its own.
Right. And it's also about like choosing the right problem. So
For
3D
sure.
printing is a tool. So apply that tool to the problem that it's most applicable for.
I'm going to sort of touch on this, and I'm sort of touching on it on more broadly based, and I'm hoping that I know there are things that you are not able to divulge because you're currently working on it, but perhaps you guys can sort of put a thread, and then connect all that together. In terms of 3D printing that you have deployed right now in your group right now, what is what would be the current project that you're working on, and what other techniques or tools are you combining together in order to provide a solution for your scientists? Meaning, obviously 3D printing would be one, and then what other technologies are you combining together for a deliverable, for a solution for your scientists?
So the instrument that combines everything that we've sort of been circling around is the iBeacon instrument. The heart of the iBeacon instrument is a flow channel that is complex to manufacture. It spans a wide variety of scales. So we have microchannels, but we also have large length scale features that are critical as well. And that print, after it comes out of the printer, still needs to be post processed using a variety of different manufacturing techniques. And then even different even more different stuff is happening later to the block, I guess, to the instrument to make the end product usable. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Okay, so this is the thing that comes out of your printer.
Okay.
Okay, and we have a very tiny 300 micron diameter downspouts, I guess. So we have microchannels in there. We have sensor holes in there. optical clarity is critical, surface roughness is critical, and it's all got to print. I don't, you have, this takes up the entire build volume of a CADWorks. So we need the resolution that that particular instrument offers, but we're also maximizing our volume. And so to get those two things to work takes, settings that Anne sits down and painstakingly tries to figure out. We've had to modify our printers mechanically. Anne has modified the settings and the parameters for the prints. So I guess if we wanted to talk about that,
Yeah.
there's that thing that actually is tying together everything from microfab all the way to like milling.
Okay, then we can.
It's everything. Everything goes into this instrument. This.
I'm
Sorry,
very
this.
curious about that. I've got 500,000 questions about that. First of all, if I was to ask just the visual that you gave me, can you tell me how many individual devices are integrated in that? So a device would be a single channel that would go across, because that is a point of interaction between two parts. You can interact two parts. If you were to say how many channels are going through there, like how many different parts and features do you have within that one device? It looks
Okay.
like significant number.
So we have the two main channels are vertical. They come down. Those are 300 micron diameter channels. Those meet at the bottom. There will be a fluid channel, an open face fluid channel here that has 68 micron diameter fiber optics embedded in it. Okay, so that's separate.
Yeah. Okay. And that'll be milled in place, correct?
Nope, that's cast in epoxy and then machined with a femtosecond laser.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. On these are liquid level sensor ports here. This is threaded features for protection, for fiber protection. There's cooling channels, there's insulation channels, there's alignment features, there's mounting features. It's complex.
Tell me anything and everything that I'm now. You've piqued my interest significantly. You can tell me anything and everything you would like to about that device. What is the application for that device? Is it a biological application, chemical application, a undisclosed application? You tell me.
Okay, so this is the heart of an instrument that is used to measure the viscosity and the concentration of a protein solution.
Okay.
The viscosity of a drug determines how painful it is to inject. So you're optimizing viscosity and concentration typically. Oh, like effectiveness also matters. I mean, that's the only thing that matters. But
yeah, that's key detail there.
But you can get to effectiveness in multiple different combinations. So do you need a large volume injection dose at a lower viscosity, or can you get away with a high concentration dose at a higher viscosity? Like what's the, like viscosity equals pain or correlates to pain. Yeah. So high viscosity is more painful than low viscosity. So this device measures protein concentration and viscosity. Okay, but it does it with very small volumes. Like it can go down to 2 microliter volumes of your sample. So it's truly microscale. And that's critical because in early drug discovery, you don't have a lot of sample, right? So proteins are hard to manufacture. I don't know. I've never made one, but I imagine they're difficult because in early drug discovery, you have a very small amount, very small mass. And so you have to take that precious solution and then conduct these tests and then either keep them for further testing, or you can just get rid of them. So in early drug discovery, we have small amount of fluid that's super precious. that we need to conduct all of these measurements on, and this instrument is being developed to do that. So the 3D printed part has a couple of different requirements. It needs to be super smooth. It needs to be super small. Well, the fluid channels need to be small.
Yeah.
There needs to be optical clarity. It needs to be mountable, rigid, and then we have to mount the sensor on the bottom. So when we integrate the sensor on the bottom of this block, we have tried to 3D print it in the past.
Okay.
So this is it all integrated, all in one thing. It's not coming in the video, but we'll get a picture of that. So we can integrate this sensor in 3D printing, but there's trade-offs if we do it one way or the other. But so the current way is what we're doing.
And does this fit? Sorry, before you go in, does this block fit into an existing apparatus, or are you also building the apparatus that you are using to do the further testing or evaluation of these proteins?
This block is a custom block that fits into a custom machine.
Oh, wow.
So it's all custom. There are commercially available components that are on the instrument, like a liquid handler, pumps, regulators, and things like that. So you can buy the components for the instrument, but it's all combined in a custom way.
And this would obviously be and if we were to connect it back to a previous conversation, this would be the type of application that has no need to go into it's not a commercial venture. This is to address an issue or a problem that has been identified within the team at AbbVie, and you've been tasked to find a solution for it.
Right. This instrument does not exist.
Okay.
You cannot buy it. Merck, J&J, no one else has this instrument. AbbVie has this unique capability.
Okay, so let's go back to the instrument now. You've printed out that block. It sounds like as if it requires either additional parts that you're going to fuse onto it to complete it. What other machining have you been needed to do on the part in order to now become a fully functional device for your application?
Okay, I really want Anne to talk about all the print settings that she had to fight with, but I'll talk a little bit about the machining post-processing that has to happen. So the first thing that has to happen is if you print vertically, so if your print bed is like this and you're printing it in this orientation, the layers will diffract light.
Yeah.
And that's bad for optical sensing purposes. So we actually print it tilted. So once you surpass the angle of total refraction, then you get really good, you get better optical quality in your prints. That's the first thing that we had to do. The surface roughness of the print layers is insufficient for our needs. So what we had to do is develop a method to coat the microchannels with epoxy. So if you fill the microchannels with epoxy and then you blow them out, the films of the epoxy, the liquid epoxy, will collapse and occlude the channel. And so then you've ruined your part. So then you have to have constant airflow. If you have constant airflow, then you get rippling. So we had to come up with a way to apply a body force to the liquid film so that the epoxy cures smoothly. And we are able to do that by putting the entire thing in a centrifuge, and a heated centrifuge, and then we can spin it at some ridiculous speed, 200 RPM or something, and then get the epoxy to cure smoothly on the channel. So now we have smooth internal geometry. We have good optical quality. Then we take that and we send that to a machine shop. they square it up because nothing comes out of the printer square. And they square it up so that it can be mounted and oriented in the instrument correctly.
Yeah.
So I think it just that part goes through all of those things. But Anne can talk about
Yeah, for sure.
like how do you print a microchannel but also not have it peel off the bed.
So before, Anne, can you tell me how tall that piece is? So we have a really good framer that looks to be about 100, probably what, 120 mils, like the max.
So if
Yeah.
if you take this block and you orient it in
Yeah.
the print orientation, the maximum height
Yeah.
from the lower raft that's
Yeah.
been removed to the top of the block itself is the maximum height the
Okay.
CADWorks Profluidics
Yeah.
will allow, which is 120
Yeah, it is.
millimeters.
Okay. Wow, amazing. And
we've maximized the width as well.
Okay. Oh, wow. So, Anne, now you are the one thing that I've learned over the last 6 or 7 years since we've been developing platforms and especially also materials profile, and that is actually key to everything. And the fact that you've managed to be able to create a profile for a large device of that scale is very impressive. Tell me what was the struggles that you had? I've heard of horror stories. I want to hear yours as well.
I think it's most of the time Drew had to deal with the problem before I joined to work with him. So he spent almost a year fighting with the problem, try to print the big part, because before if it's too heavy, while during the printing it just fell off the print bed. For example, it's delamination is the big issue, and with the I really like the technology in the printer that you can peel the the bed with the print bed in an angle. So the bed tilting at an angle, peeling off from one side instead of pulling on the print bed straight vertically from the bed. And that is what I really like about this printer. And then I finally slowly tune in for large surface coverage of the print bed. We need to peel it slowly, like slowly changing the speed and peeling it slowly. But for the big part, if you peel, you slow down on the step, it's gonna take forever. And yes, and time is important value to us. So we figure out, when we tilt the part at 30 degree, the part that come with the print bed first, the printing part first, so from the top to the bottom, uh, the upper part has bigger surface, because all the support you need to add on the side so that it can hold the weight of the part that we want to print. So at those steps, we can slowly fine tuning the time, like slower at the top, peeling off the speed, and then we can slow gradually increase the speed. So when it comes to the top, the final sum, like around 30% final layers, you can speed it up, and then like fine tuning those steps to figure out how fast you can peel off the cross-linked material from the bed is a key, because delamination, it's sometimes it happens you spend a day printing the part, and it's good so far until it reaches to 30% last uh, of the piece you fail, and then you have to redo it again. So the way that we do, Drew and I was figuring out, is sectioning out the part before we print the whole block. So we test out, at this with this feature, we print it, and then changing the parameter, and then we section out, we take another part of the block, we print it And with that covering surface area, and then with the speed that we're printing and the curing time, we can investigate, or this part need this much of curing time, and it has to wait for about 1 second or 2 seconds or 3 seconds before we even start to peel off the cross-linkage material from the vat. And then later, when you have all the parameter, we combine them. And then with this section, we need this setting. With the section, we need the other setting.
So now, if you print that, so what was your print time roughly? Was it
For that block, it take around 28 hours.
28
But
hours?
before optimization, it can take around 50 or
Yeah.
70 hours. So
And so, did you have someone there pouring new material into the vat? Because I think you would have depleted the vat very quickly.
yes. So I usually set it up before I leave for the day. And
Yeah.
the next day when I come in, I just pause the print. And the printer is smart enough to pause it to the point that the next layer is about to cross-link on top of the part. And then I will just top it up. But in the
Yeah.
future, for example, for another printer that John set up, they have the big uh, resin reservoir, and then it can pump in
Yes.
automatically sensing the level and pump in the new resin. But that is not really the pain in the ass for me. Like topping up, it take me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, so it's not really a problem.
And how did you address the issue? Okay, so if you had 300 micron channels in the Z direction and you had it angled, did you find that you had any deviation on the channels? Because UV light is going to penetrate right through on subsequent layers. So you print a channel, and then even though it is now farther away from the vat, there is UV light being exposed to it. How did you just modify the profile to address that? How do you guys do that?
We modified the layers thickness, curing
Okay.
layers thickness, and also we fine tuning the curing time.
Okay.
Sometimes for the smaller channel and deeper embedded channel inside the 3D printed blocks, we do a little bit under curing.
Okay.
So it's
All right.
enough to cure the layer. It's enough to get that layer built up from the vat, but we accumulate the over curing issue from the light penetrating through the block.
It's also important, and also is being very too modest. So she's working on all of these settings, and that impacts the cure,
Yeah.
which impacts the cleaning of the block after it comes out of the printer. And Anne also did a lot of work on developing the cleaning procedure. So how do we get 300 micron microchannels cleared that have been overexposed or underexposed? So there's work there. I don't know if she wants to talk about that.
Yeah, that'd be great to hear. How did you tackle all of these? Are issues that 3D printing will have, especially on the small scale. Microscale is very difficult to print, and I'm amazed that you tackled so many of these all in one on one device. Usually, they'll most people will address only one issue per device. You've tackled pretty much every issue on one device.
Yes, for the cleaning. So through experience before, when we have a third party that doing the printing for us, they soak the 3D printed block in the solvent for so long, and then it's create the like breakage, delamination, and then deforming of the channel. So we learned that we have to reduce the washing time. It's not like we can soak the part inside IPA for 1 day or 2 days. We need to do it quick, so that the channels, the printed channel, is not affected or washing away or eating out by the
Yeah.
solvent. And then we Drew also set up the station that I can use the high air pressure, like to flow out the uncured resin. But sometimes for a very small channel, the resistance inside the channel is too high. Even though then if you don't have a very tight fit on the inlet, you cannot flow air through. It's just gonna find a way to leak out back to the inlet. So, and then we figure out, oh, we can try to flow the solvent through it using high pressure. And then when it doesn't work, we apply mechanical roughing. So we have unlimited supplies from the needles and small wires. And we can pick out we can use the wire that and we run through the channels, try to push out a little bit amount of uncured resin inside the channel, and then we can use the high air pressure or high pressure solvent fluidics to flow through the channel and try to clean it slowly. So it's a multiple step process, and then just try to clean it. And then curing is also a problem because for a thick block, you curing is also critical because you don't want any uncured resin or leakage throughout the time of using. So we just use a commercialized oven from another provider, and then we first do the bulk curing of the part, and then we use your open chamber to kill the concentrate, and because it's directional, so we can concentrate which side of the block that we want to kill more. Yes.
Wow, that is an amazing piece of device that you guys have created. What any other features in regards to that device in terms of the applications or anything of that sort?
Yeah, so another thing that we had to combat is when you're dealing with a microchannel that's vertical, that's 300 microns in diameter, if your print bed moves 300 microns during a peel off event, that means your next layer is misaligned with the previous layer. And so the printer has this clamp that you clamp down on, and that works reasonably well for microchannels that are in small blocks where there is a small amount of surface area. But for our component, there's a large volume, large surface area, so that peel-off force is very high and can misalign and overcome the power of that clamp. So we first tried to shim it. And so we just put in some shims and clamped it down and went to town. That was insufficient. So what we ended up needing to do is we take the print bed and we modified it and we put in some set screws. So after we mount the print bed, we clamp it down, and then we can tighten some set screws in the print bed. On the build platform are the set screws, and it's more challenging to take in and out of the printer, but the benefits of a far superior, every layer is aligned.
In this device, you probably have how many layers, and did you have your files?
Around 2,500 layers.
So, you could not afford any sort of sideways shifts because that's 27 hours down the drain at that point, right?
Mm, yes.
Yeah, no.
Right. We've sent this out to multiple third-party manufacturers.
Okay.
3D Systems, Stratasys, also foreign companies.
Okay.
No one can do this.
Oh.
Only Anne can do this.
There you go. See?
Our group.
There's something to be said to, you can give someone a hammer and they can just go around willy-nilly just hammering everything. It just takes a skilled craftsperson to really do the right thing with it. So That is amazing. It's when I saw that block that Drew just showed, that I know what the challenges are inherently, but to sort of be patient and overcome those, that actually is that's worthy recognition right there.
Thank you.
So now you take this block of yours, and now and obviously this is not going to be one off. Every time that you require a new protein to be tested, it requires a brand new block to be printed, or is it now something that will go get machined, and then it will be something that that will be part of your tool set as you develop other drugs?
The instrument is designed to be cleaned.
Oh,
so cleaning the block is important. It's not like there's one block per protein, but we want there to be multiple instruments. We have instruments deployed around the globe. So we have customers in Germany and Boston and California who have different or subtly different needs. So their blocks might differ a little bit. And so the main thrust of this was to make the blocks as easily replaceable as possible, as easily manufacturable as possible, while still maintaining the high quality.
fantastic.
One thing that changed in my thought process of 3D printing during the development of this block was printing threads. I have always been a skeptic of thread printing. I would always prefer to cut the threads into a part. So I'll print the hole, or I'd print a pilot hole and then drill and then thread. And I believed with all my heart that that was the best way to do it. And then one of our group members was like, you know what, I'm just going to try it. And he tried it and it worked out great. And then I tried it and I will never go back. So if the printer has the resolution to print threads, it saves so much time and you can do so much more. So I think there's over 10 threaded features on just this one block, and they're different types of threads. There's pipe threads, there's straight threads, there's helicoil threads, and if your software allows you to make that thread, your printer can print that thread, and it's never let us down.
That block is now forever etched. I think that that itself is it's such a strong statement of the type of work that your team does at AbbVie, for sure. So, any last and final statements or words you'd like to share with us?
Hemdeep, I didn't talk to you. I talked to Mary Frances about this, but I just wanted to tell you like where I thought all of us together, the story that I wanted to tell. We're in this group. We don't know what we're doing. We're all like trying to like come up with like these cool ideas and realize these complicated machines. And John says, there's a better way. Let's cut down time. Let's make things faster. Let's iterate faster. Let's learn quicker. And he brings in 3D printing, and he's so humble, but he's just like, he's stuffing it down our throats. It's not just us, right? There's other group members that are like, no, this will never work. You can't depend on a 3D printer. You can't do this. You can't. Those 3D printers that John talked about, all 6 of them, all 8 of them, whatever, they're always running.
No, for sure. The funny thing is that the way your team is made up is very similar to ours. None of our team are engineers. So I graduated with a degree in physics and astronomy. My brother is a musician and a sociology major. So if you try to call him up during the summer, he's doing street festivals throughout the city of Toronto, and it's just insane. None of our teams are really. We're very curious, like hyper curious to a fault. Sometimes where we get lost and we're down rabbit holes. And Robin was one of the first hires that we had that actually build a schedule. We did not understand schedules. We didn't understand time frames. There was no such thing as a deadline in our life. And then she came along and said, well, we should be doing deadlines and schedules. So I completely appreciate where you came from. And the fact that John is an advocate of this, I really commend you, because there are people that we talk to often and that really sort of look at 3D printing as either gimmicky, or they always see it as it will never apply to me. And they don't realize that, you're either one material away or a specific machine away from it to actually apply to your application. Like, it just fits. And the minute that you find that marriage between the correct material, application, methodology, and purpose, you're off to the races. There's nothing that can stop you at that point. And so I do commend you for being pushing them along. That definitely is important.
Yeah, there's I think the secret hiding in plain sight here is that we're all experts, right? Everybody's an expert in everything all the time until you step back and say, hey, wait, I don't really know about this. And if you can admit that, then
it's easy.
You can learn a lot.
Oh yeah.
And that's the secret sauce of this group, so to speak, is that the whole reason that we succeed, like a microfabricator, a fluid astronomer extraordinaire, bicyclist, whatever, and a mechanical engineer masquerading as a software guy, the reason that we can succeed in a pharmaceutical company is because we're all comfortable admitting that we don't know what we're doing, talking about, or looking at any given time. And we're all comfortable walking into labs full of experts who do know the chemistry, do know the biology, and just saying, hey, what if?
Yeah.
What if you tried this? What if you did that? How does it work when you? And just kind of take off the blinders. And in a lot of ways, that's kind of what we had to do to get 3D printing up and running here. And yeah, I started that, but Anne and Drew, they saw it through. So I think that's probably a good way to sum up how we got ourselves into this.
Excellent. Amazing. All right. So I would like to thank the three of you for taking time out today and sharing the amazing work that you and your team at AbbVie at SPaRCS are doing. I really, I am impressed with the type of things that people do, but this one really was very, very impressive in terms of being able to bring together a ton of skill and know-how to put that block together. And I know because we do blocks like that at the office, and we know that the amount of work that's required to fine-tune profile to get it done. That is amazing work. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us today. We enjoyed the conversation.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye.
Have a nice day. Bye.